Christian C. Castillo.
We also want to introduce our collaborators on this project from the Ideas Lab, which is a UCSC course that brings together students of different backgrounds to collaborate on projects that take on social, ecological, and economic issues of our time. Kavika Paris, Alexis Hopper, Benji Weaver, and Paula Reyes. So the ecological issue our Ideas collaborators took on is the growing global issue of plastic pollution. Every year, around 300 million tons of plastic is produced, and about 8 million tons is dumped into the oceans. And just imagine that accumulation, because just a piece of plastic can take around 1,000 years to fully decompose. Our daily habits and consumption patterns are easily blamed for this issue, and habits such as drinking from single-use plastic bottles and not properly disposing of them can lead to the accumulation of plastic within our landfills and oceans. So what we set out to do is create a website for our Ideas collaborators that would help educate people on plastic pollutants as they decompose from a macroplastic to a microplastic to a nanoplastic. We also wanted to display the effects of consumer choices on the environment and how people can help fight plastic pollution. We focus on the educational aspect because we realize that when people are more aware of the issue, they're going to be more conscious of their choices. The main challenge we faced was implementing a design that would be able to engage an audience in a fun and interactive way, and also appeal to an audience of all ages. We wanted to take an approach unlike other websites that educate people on this issue, which are often just a showcase of numbers and text. Numbers and text can be unmemorable. Like, do you remember how much plastic is produced each year, which was mentioned in a previous slide? Possibly not. So we were challenged with, given all this information on plastic, how can we portray it and showcase it in a way that is memorable? The approach we took was creating story paths and journeys, which a user can follow along as they learn about plastic. The 3 adventure paths we have implemented is a macroplastic path, a micro, and a nano path. So a macro is the largest typical type of plastic that you are probably most familiar with, such as bottles, plastic bottles, bags, and straws. A macroplastic can take various paths before it decomposes into a micro. It could be recycled and transported on a boat to a foreign country, or it can be dumped on the ground, taken to a storm drain, and end up in the ocean, or it could be thrown into the garbage and end up in a landfill. We go through all these routes in more detail on our website. Here is a glimpse of our macro path on our website. So this is our landing page. You go down and find the macro path. Click the Start Macro Adventure, and here you have 4 different routes: the recycle, trash, reuse, and dump. We're gonna go to the recycle. So here you can be a good plastic or a bad plastic. And here you figure out what can be recycled or not. So if you're a good recyclable, you're shipped on a boat to China, and here you can learn more facts about how recycling works and the different types of recycling, mechanical versus chemical. Or you can be a bad recyclable, and you can end up in a landfill. Here, we learn more about landfills and the largest landfills globally. So that was our macro adventure. So now we continue on to the micros. Micros are deteriorated macros that are smaller than 5 millimeters, but they're still visible to the human eye. They can be found in many different things, such as even your toothpaste. And these microplastics often end up in the oceans and are consumed by marine life. So here is our micros adventure. Micros can be found in the ocean, on the road, or in everyday things. Here we go to the cosmetic section. So in our cosmetic section, we basically have different products you can choose from. And there's 3 different choices: a good choice, an excellent choice, or a bad choice. The excellent choice means that the company that you chose is completely eco-friendly in terms of plastic. They have no plastic in any of their products. A good choice means that the company isn't necessarily plastic friendly, but that product, it doesn't have any microplastics. And the bad choice would mean that the product itself has microplastics in it. So we follow the bad product, and it takes us to the down the pipes into the filtration system and eventually into the ocean, where fish eat it and we consume the fish. And here's a map of global fish consumption. Or you can be a micro found on the road. Micros come from your car wheel tires, and they go to the storm drain into the filtration systems and eventually end up in the ocean too. So that was our micro path, and now we move on to the nanos.
Nanos are invisible to the eye and are usually consumed as seafood. Current studies have shown that these unseen plastic pollutant particles impact the human's body's estrogen and testosterone hormones, affecting human development. In addition, it is still fairly a new area of concern for scientists, with further research being conducted presently to determine other possible effects on the human body. So in order to engage the user's attention and create a lasting impact, the Edu Plastic Pollution team devised 2 story paths. One being an interactive 3D journey where you follow the plastics in an adventurous journey to see how they become pollutants. 2 is how the nanos enter your body through other various means, along with a summary on how we create these pollutants that eventually affect us. Your immersive journey begins at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, where you can use a mouse to interact with your environment and click on icons to learn more about plastic pollutants, with the option to navigate amongst the scenes as you wish. Once you've completed the journey, you have the option to either go back to the landing page, or you can get more involved and click on how to help. The team wanted to ensure that the users learn in a way that doesn't feel like work. Hence, the activism page sets the stage to motivate the users to learn and to take action by interacting with a recycle, drag and drop game, informational flashcards, and should you feel a little bit more curious, be able to discover more on other relevant educational platforms from the provided resourceful links. We also had the user's experience first in mind. By doing so, we achieved such features by using the tools such as Google's Polys API. This is how we created the 3D interactive immersive features. With this API, we were able to create a scene by giving it a title, enter the geographic coordinates, and fill out the interactive educational points. Through the power of Unity Game Engine and C#, we were able to generate an HTML tag which contains all these neat features readily for use.
So we used React for our website, and we used the React Spring animation library to make our website essentially come to life and make it more interactive. You can see the React Spring animation library being used with the pop-out images, the swimming fish in the ocean, and the smooth transitions throughout our website. We also used the React Simple Maps library to create the interactive maps that were featured on our website.
The results, as a team, we achieved the life cycle and integration of the 3 story paths: macros, micros, nanos. In lieu of keeping the user's experience always first in mind, we successfully made our website interactive and engaging. And lastly, we promoted activism in a non-traditional learning style that motivates the users to act on the problems of today. So, in conclusion, we accomplished our project goals. We had a great start, but there's still room for improvements for future iterations of this web application. And lastly, it was a challenging project in terms of creativity, implementation, and design. We'd like to thank our contributors, Kavika, Lexis, Paola, and Benji. And we'd also like to thank our Professor Richard Julie, teaching assistant Aquila da Silva, Stella Hine from Ideas, and our contributing peer developer, Colin Hurst. This concludes the Plastic EDU Pollution team's presentations. We are now open to questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Edu Plastic Pollution. That was an interesting talk. We're out of time. There is, let's see, do we have any questions here? We'll have enough time for one question. Question is, hi, nice job. Is China still taking our plastics? Did you mention, or do you mention in any of your stories how micro and nanoplastics in the marine environment attract persistent organic pollutants such as DDT and PCB? So one of you could field that question.
Yeah, so we don't, in regards to the second question, we don't mention that anywhere. But in regards to the first one, so China isn't taking in our recyclables anymore. But yeah, some other foreign countries are, but they're still trying to figure out what to do with the fact that China stopped taking in the recyclables. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna.